What's going on, guys? Karl here, back with another episode and getting to what you guys have been waiting for, the S9. I've had it for 2 weeks since launch day at MWC in Barcelona, and here I am letting you know my thoughts and if this guy is worth the hype. So first and foremost, the design. And if we actually just grab my S8, which I've got right here, they look very, very similar. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The S8, I think, had a great design. It was one of my favorite phones and kind of set the precedent for edge-to-edge displays. And the S9 kind of rolled along with that. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So we've got two phones that look very, very similar. Samsung does say that the S9 is brighter, but unless you've got both devices side by side, I don't think you'll be able to spot the difference. It's still beautifully made, has minimal to no bezels. The chins and foreheads are tiny. It's nice. Switching around to the back, this is where you're gonna start to see some of the minor differences. Over on last year, the S8, everyone complained about the fingerprint sensor being next to the camera. It was ridiculous, you could never reach it. Samsung listened and positioned it now underneath the camera, slightly easier to get to, and the biggest bonus is not getting your camera all smudged up because it's below it now. We still have the same glass panels on the back, which means it still suffers from the fingerprint magnet that you can never escape. So you can either rock a case or a skin, just like this guy from D-Brand Camo. I'm surprised you can actually still see the phone at this point. 4 different colorways: midnight black, coral blue, titanium, and lilac purple. This year, I think I'm leaning towards the purple. It's different and definitely will turn some heads. It's an eye catcher. Around the rest of the phone, nice to see that Samsung is still including the 3.5mm headphone jack at the bottom, USB-C for charging. The right has the on and off / sleep button, left-hand side volume rocker, and unfortunately still has the dedicated Bixby button. Mine is updating as I rarely use Bixby, and I wish Samsung gave us the option to map this to, say, Google Assistant. Bixby is just one of those things where I get Samsung is trying to do its own thing, but at least give us the option to map it to something else. It's fine to ship it stock with a phone. It's just something that I've never got on board with. I haven't made a Samsung account. I think they really need to figure this out and either nail it out of the park next year or just switch to Google Assistant, which I'm sure most of us want to see. I'm not going to even mention too much about the performance as it's got the latest chipsets, the Snapdragon 845, every single thing that you throw at this guy, as it should. For a flagship close to $1,000, it crushes without even breaking a sweat. Multitasking, playing 3D games, 4K video, crushes very, very well. Speaking of 4K video, this is where the hype this year was around. It was the camera, or the camera reimagined. So this is the first phone to feature a dual aperture camera from f1.5, which is the fastest camera on a smartphone you can get, to f2.4. So what that really means, it will allow more light in at f1.5, so low light performance, this guy shines, literally. Or on a day like today where we've got enough sunlight, it'll switch to 2.4, which means the images will be sharper. As the lower f-stop you get, the softer the images tend to get. Low light performance by some of these sample shots you see are better than, say, the Pixel 2 XL, the iPhone X, so that is good. I'll let you guys be the judge though. I did post my full camera review as well as comparison shots between this, the iPhone, the Pixel 2, linked right up here. Click here right now. The other cool thing was 960 FPS slow-mo, which I thought is super dope to have in a camera. The only thing that I'll say about that is you can't actively choose when to set the slow-mo. You're kind of relying on software to choose when the slow motion takes place. You have to actively place the moving object in the square, and the phone will decide when to get the slow-mo bit. So you might miss it. It might be a bit of hit or miss. I think that should easily be fixed in a software update. We'll just have to see if Samsung decides to do that. The second thing added was AR emojis, and if you can kind of see mine, I get it, it's something a bit more interactive than, say, the Animojis over on the iPhone, but just like Animojis, it was kind of something that was a bit of a gimmick. I used it the first time, second time, and after that, I stopped. I can see the same thing for AR emojis as well. I found that the mapping of the AR emoji is also slightly interesting. I'm not sure if my eyebrows or my mouth do move like that. That's also something that I think that can be slightly tweaked in a software update. And I honestly think the biggest low-key selling point of the S9 is the speakers. The performance of these guys kind of has blown me away and is now setting the benchmark of how good a smartphone should sound. I know it's a bit tough to translate that sound through this YouTube video, but trust me, when you hear this thing, it's great, probably the best that I've heard. And other than that, those are the big changes that are in the brand new S9/S9 Plus. As I mentioned, if you've got an S8, you will feel very at home with this guy. Not too much has changed. It's definitely an incremental evolution. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video on the S9 and S9 Plus. Remember to check the links for the full camera review and of course comparisons to the iPhone 10, the Pixel 2, which I think are its main competitors, and I will catch you guys in one of my next episodes or vlogs. Peace.